Sorry about that. I'm so excited. I forgot to unmute myself. Oh my goodness. And our new friend was getting into the music in the background. So I focused. Oh, she loves the music. But let me just do this right. It's Dr. Vibe, your host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And because of that, or part of that collaboration last year, reached out globally to over 100,000 fathers and dads around the world. And we did that again this year. So we've hit over 100,000 the last 2 years in a row. So as always, I like to see you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And I am fired up this evening. I am excited. I am really, really excited about this conversation. I am all the time, but you know what I'm saying. Now, just want to do a little promo here. If you are watching this before end of day, December 31st, 2022, please vote for the Dr. Vibe show in the Best Black Canadian Podcaster category at this year's buyblacks.com People's Choice Awards. And all you need to do is go to buyblacks.com/PCA/vote to vote. And you can vote every 24 hours. And just a little plug, buyblacks.com is Black Canada's number one online magazine. And they SEO-wise are ranked in the top 150,000 in the world, family. In the world. So just a little something there. So if you are here live, please fire away with questions. If you have anything to ask, it's going to be an epic conversation. So why am I so excited? This is why. Dr. Alicia Watkins is a full professor of social work and a licensed clinical therapist. She's also the founder of Coaching with Dr. Alicia, LLC, as a certified couples coach focusing on providing evidence-based skills to couples who wish to get married, improve their communication skills, and foster healthy relationships. On top of that, she's a mother of 3 children and wishes to use her own life experiences related to love, marriage, community building, self-exploration, and commitment to respectful living to inspire couples to become stronger together. She also works as a part-time therapist at Alliance Counselling and Coaching, where she helps individuals, couples, and families heal from past issues that hinder current functioning. She's been a licensed therapist, family, for 17 years and considers this work to be her lifelong passion. And I have seen her in action for a long life, and this is her lifelong passion. She's a full-time professor of social work at the University of St. Francis. She enjoys training adult learners on techniques to become professional social workers. She teaches courses on cultural competency, advanced research, field education, and social practice. Yes, I'm reading her full bio because she deserves to have her full bio read. She obtained her master's degree in social work from the University of Chicago in 2000 and earned her doctoral degree in social work from Florida State FSU Seminoles in 2008. She's published 10 professional articles and has presented at over 20 professional social work conferences. And we are blessed and highly favored to have Dr. Alicia Watkins joining us this evening. Hello, hello.
Hello, Dr. Vibe. I didn't think you'd read the whole thing. I'm embarrassed.
No. Why are you embarrassed?
Just because I know I have to put the bios together and all of that, but you know, there we go.
Well, absolutely. Well, this is a wonderful moment for me because I've been a wonderful fan for a long time, since you've been chopping it up on your own and chopping up with Dr. Boyce and chopping up with your girl. And that's saying, and this, I have a feeling this is probably your first Black Canadian podcast conversation.
It sure is. And I got to tell you, one of my favorite friends in the world, he is my coworker. His office is right next to mine in my university. He's a Black Canadian too, from Nigeria, Dr. Obuagu. I'm going to send him this video.
All right. Well, that's fantastic.
It's crazy because he can speak all these different languages. Y'all speak French and stuff.
Yes. Well, not all of us, but some of us speak French. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we got a little culturalism going on here. So yeah, we do what we got to do.
It was amazing. I've only been to Canada one time, and it was quite a while ago. And I just was blown away by seeing all these hi, really nice Black people speaking French, and they just sound all special. And it was really beautiful. I loved it. Canada's beautiful in the summer too. That's when I was there in the summer.
Well, it can get, we're supposed to get it. I don't know if you're going to get, but we're getting a really bad storm coming up this weekend. So I don't know. I think it's going to be hitting you too.
Yeah, I'm in Chicago and it's on its way, but I'm sure it's not going to be as bad as, you know.
Oh, no, it's
Yeah,
not. Hold on. Sometimes we get better weather than you. So, you know, we're going to have to get you up here. We're going to have to get you and Dr. Boyce up here and just hang out.
that would be cool. That would be cool. Make it happen.
All right. This is good. And we got someone from the family, Ryan O'Neill Knight, saying good evening, everyone. And Ryan and myself co-host the Morning Vibe every Monday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And also Ryan is the co-executive director of the Afro-Canadian Business Network, who does great services for Black entrepreneurs and Black businesses right across Canada.
All right.
So I always like to do this with new friends. Can you share a little bit of background about yourself to our family?
Yeah, and you know what? I like the bio, but one thing I want to say is that I'm a social worker. Like I am a social worker. That's the very first thing I probably should have written in there. And I love this profession. I love to be able to teach in the Masters of Social Work program at my institution. And I am proud to be responsible for training the next generation of therapists. Like this is pretty awesome. What a great position to be in. And so I do want to share that about my background because that's so important about how I see people and how I see their problems, particularly how I see Black people, because we're unique. We're like nothing else in this world because of our history and who we are as a people and how we came to America, and the slavery was unique. Everything is very unique about us. And so it's just fascinating to be able to depart that information with my students because social workers need to know how to work with different people. And so that is one thing I'm very proud of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ryan is saying, he says, big fan of the Watkins family. I've learned a lot about finances and how to empower the Black community.
That's right. Finances is huge. It's a huge, unique factor for us as Black people and as Black families too.
Well, and yourself and Boyce are doing an amazing thing on Sunday nights.
Yeah, so it was all Boyce's idea because we have these conversations all the time. He's like, Alicia, we should be recording this. I'm like, what? No one wants to hear what I have to say.
Oh,
He's
stop
like,
your
"Yeah, we
noise.
do."
Come
He talks
on.
like that. So he's like, no, let's record us. So you do this thing called Pillow Talk every once in a
Yes.
while. We don't schedule it. It really is off the cuff. It really is raw. It really is like real conversations that we have. And then in those conversations, he's like, you know what? I'm doing all this work with the financial piece of helping families come into and grow their legacy. And he's like, they have some real issues that they're coming to him for. And he's like, I don't know how to deal with this. So usually every Sunday night, whenever he wants me to do, I will come up with certain topics. So last week I talked about shopping addictions and all of the things that affect
Yes.
us. And so if you go to Dr. Boyce Prime, you can sign up there. We have a love and money masterclass that we do together. So you can go to, I think it's, if you go to boycewatkins.com and go on his site, you
That's
get
the
all the
hub.
information that you need to sign up. But it's really great. And I really would, because the response has been so overwhelming. I'm thinking about doing an actual group therapy in terms of
Wow.
Black people and finances, maybe women. I like to do something with women. So that might be something that I'm going to pursue for the new year. We'll be usually at the end of the year like this, Boyce and I go on vacation and we cut
Yes.
ourselves off basically from a lot of people. We have business meetings a lot. And so one of the things I think we're going to just try to work on is trying to figure out what the needs are in our community and just do what we can to the best of our ability to provide these needs, because I do have a lot of stuff in my head. I do have a lot of information in my head. And so it's just great to just be in the position to depart all this information out to people who are interested.
Well, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody else. I'm very blessed that you're getting it out of your head and
Yeah.
speaking it, because it's so valuable to me, and the learning and the relatability. And you're a brilliant Black woman.
Oh, well, I thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And boys, you definitely married up.
Boys, you know what? It's so interesting because I've known boys for quite some time. I've known boys
Yes.
actually this coming next September, I would have known him for 30 years.
Wow.
So what we're going to do, we're going to we take an annual pilgrimage to Indiana University where we met at the library. And this year we're going to bring the whole family down, and we're really going to have a fun time talking about my experience at the university. So our experience at the university. So it's going to be pretty special. 30 years. And I've met a lot of his girlfriends.
Yes, that comes up during some of your conversations. Yes.
It's interesting because never in a million, he confessed his love to me, Dr. Vibe. And I couldn't believe it. I said, who's this? Because I just saw him as like my friend. By the way, I've only known boys as just like my friend from college. He went and did all these great things. And every once in a while, my dad and I would watch him on CNN.
Yeah.
But other than that, I had no idea. First of all, think about it. I had 3 small children. I'm just graduated with my PhD. I'm trying to get tenure. I'm working 80 hours a week. I am cranking out articles, doing presentations, getting all like impressing the people who need to be impressed in order to give me promotion and tenure and all of that. So I had no presence on social media. Nothing. So I did not know. So usually when I speak to boys, I just call them on the phone and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on with you? Oh, nothing much. We just talk about regular stuff. So it's interesting. He confesses his love to me, and I'm like, wow, I don't know. I didn't know you thought about that, because these other women you dated, they didn't look anything like me. They didn't act like me. They were really kind of reserved. A lot of the women were really not very talkative. They were smart. They were always really smart, but I just didn't think they weren't really outgoing like how I am. So I just thought I was never his type. Plus, I was single most of the time I knew him. And so he was never single. he was the ladies' man. So I didn't really think anything. I'm like, he's not interested in me. He's just my friend. So when he said, I've always been interested in you. And I'm like, what? I've been single all this time. So anyway, long story short, so we start dating sort of. And everywhere we go, I'm like, why is everybody walking up to you taking pictures with you? What's wrong? What's wrong with these people? I said, who are these people? And he's like, Alicia, you don't understand. Like, I said, no, what do you mean? Then I started following him on social media, and I was like, good grief, there's like 300,000 people on Instagram.
Yes.
What is that? I thought I was the only person that thought you were interesting. I guess there's a whole lot of people that think you're interesting. And there we go.
Okay. Well, you know what? Time will run out fast. So you know what? We should really just get to our main conversation topic. And I've already made a request that Dr. Alicia, if she can find time to come on periodically and share with our family, because I think it's absolutely wonderful. All the stories that she has, whether they're with or without boys, that's a whole other conversation topic. But when I initially got in touch with her, I said, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? And we came up with this topic, and I think it's a foundational topic with Blacks. How can Black men and Black women love each other? And with your personal and professional experience, where would you like to start this conversation this evening?
I would really like to start with, let's talk about money.
Okay.
How can Black men and how can Black women love each other? Black men and women love each other. So I'd like to talk about finances, because we need to understand what's getting in the way so that they don't love each other. Why is the divorce rate among Black couples higher than any other group? And we know the answer. So first of all, there was a longitudinal study, where they followed men and women from the age of 14 all the way up, right? So that's how you can kind of track what's going on with people. Out of this huge group, nationally data set, they found that the divorce rate among the Black people in this study was way, way higher than all the other groups. But when they controlled for, number one, at the age of 14, did you have both parents in the household? That when respondents who grew up without two parents in the household, they were significantly likely for their marriages to end in divorce. But for African American couples, when they adjusted for that family structure, the rate of divorce was cut in half. So you can cut the rate of divorce just based on, at the age of 14, did you have both parents? And so this is telling us the elevated risk of divorce among African Americans can be traced to the absence of one parent, and it's usually the father, from the homes during childhood. The second thing that they found was income. So this was also an important factor. So adjusting for differences, current income. The relative risk for African Americans also substantially changed, okay? And so when you factor in income, so high income individuals who had both parents in the home at the age of 14, the divorce rate was almost zero. This tells us the family structure and household income completely explain the elevated risk of divorce among African Americans. And it was not like this for any other group. It was unique to African Americans.
Wow. Wow. And I know you're talking from sharing from a Black American lens, but similar here, Black Canadian. So what you're saying, don't think it just is applicable to Black America. It's also very significant in Black Canada. I'm going to, some other quick comments here. Wayne Harris, who is a man who loves the finances just as much as Dr. Boyce, says Dr. Boyce Watkins is the man, and also saying that he is now a follower of Dr. Alicia Watkins.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Wayne.
You got a follower here. Absolutely. So that we could just land on that for the whole rest of the hour. No, I'm serious. We could just land on that for the rest of the hour. But, and let's take a little trip down that road. We, on average, earn less than our non-melanated people. Mm-hmm. So right there, and last I checked, we live in a capitalistic society. So what, and it gets high level, what sort of suggestions can you make for our Black women and Black women who are partnering or want to be partnering when it comes to the money issue?
Mm-hmm. Money is an issue. And, it was funny because when I first started out, I was kind of skeptical about the money. I was like, why is money's, I was kind of not really factoring a lot of that in terms of relationships, but it's so salient for us because historically, money is a safety thing for us. It makes us feel safe and secure when we know where our money is and where it's going and how we manage it. And can I trust you with the money? It's Christmas coming up. We got to put our hands together and make sure little Johnny got his Christmas. And, that's real important for us as Black women. We like to make sure our babies get our Christmas, get their Christmas, it's a big deal. And so, if that money isn't quite right, that's a real problem in terms of security. And you think about all of the trauma all of us have gone through. I mean, just the trauma of
I just want to interrupt there. I just want to interrupt there. The conversations that you and Boyce have about Blacks and trauma.
Yeah.
Every Black person around the world needs to listen to those, because I didn't realize how deep it is until you and Dr. Boyce really started focusing in on it, and how it's such a root cause to many of the challenges a number of us Black people have.
Yeah, I mean, he's very eloquent and can speak all about what slavery did economically. Like right now, he's doing his Powernomics talk right now. Right now, you can go on there. He's chopping it up about with Claude Anderson and all of that.
Yeah.
He's talking about, and it's a direct, relationship between coming out of slavery and being kind of eliminated economically. Black people have been eliminated from having these resources, and he talks very eloquently about it. And it's really interesting because I'm just like, slavery, we pay a toll in terms of economics, But you know what? Our psychology, our psyche, it's all messed up from this slavery. And that's another unique issue with us as Black people, is that we not only are these harsh stereotypes thrown against us, right? But we use them against each other. And
Come,
that's
come on now. Come on,
one of
Dr.
the reasons
Alicia.
why
Come on now.
relationships aren't cutting it.
Yeah.
Stop it. We need to stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to interrupt you again. Wayne Harris said that no father, low income, and he missed number 3. Did you mention 3 things?
I said
No.
2 things.
Okay, 2. All
The
right.
third thing, if you want a third thing, Wayne, I would say these stereotypes that we have about each other. It's damaging. We are internalizing all of the things that have been told to me about Black men that are false. It's a stereotype. That's a lie. You can't group a whole group of people into this one category. That doesn't make sense. And a lot of the things that I'm seeing, particularly online, about stereotypes about Black women.
So how does our people's history of trauma affect our relationships, men and women, with each other?
Because it affects your nervous system. If you grew up and it's traumatic, and a lot of people don't even know that it's trauma. So let's just, if you can raise awareness of it. How you know that you grew up in some trauma is that your nervous system gets out of whack. You're not able, you're seeing the environment as threatening. Everything is threatening. You're perceiving something that could be completely neutral. It's not going to be neutral to you because your nervous system is online. It's saying, it's adjusting to the environment. Like, we're wonderful creatures and wonderful human beings, right? Because our bodies are naturally equipped to adjust to the environment. So if you grew up and things are happening to you that are frightening to you, and you don't have a way to process that, to regulate your own emotions, as soon as you see something coming your way, it's fight or flight, and you're fighting, you're yelling, you're arguing, you know how you see online, people take out their phones and they're recording somebody in their worst state. Their nervous system is not regulated at all, and they're going off. That's not them. That's not who they are, but they for real are fighting for their life.
Okay, good
And we
stuff.
take it out on each other.
I'll go to an audience question first, but I'm gonna ask you something after this. Wayne, and I had the interesting. Are you a fan of the late Kevin Samuels? Did he help or hurt the stereotypes?
Okay, so here we go to Kevin Samuels. So the thing is that as a professor, I'm teaching just this few days ago. I just finished my semester. I taught this practice 1 course. Believe it or not, there's a theory on how to help people. There's theories, models. It's bona fide by data. You know, I'm a researcher and I'm a college professor, so I love data and theory. So the helping profession is not just any guru can turn on their YouTube channel and talk about, I'm going to help you by doing this and help you by doing that and all this. You know, you can't do. We know how to help other people. Okay, it's not a mystery. Now, how you help other people is, number one, you have to be genuine, you have to be compassionate, you have to have integrity, you have to have respect for people. That's how you help other people. And so my issue with Kevin Samuels is that the way in which he delivers his message is not helping. I'd like to see the results. It's not helping. So it's not just Kevin Samuels, and I love for him to be him, and he's got a lot of people who love him, right? The way in which he delivers, it's not bringing anybody together, it's divisive. And so he has a voice, or had a voice, or people who speak like that, they have a voice and it needs to be heard, but he has to be able to convey it. People like that have to be able to convey it in a way that's respectful. And when you're putting somebody down and you're being like you're superior and I have all the answers and you don't, it's not helping people. So I look at Kevin Samuels and others, is this going to help, or is this really just going to be really fun entertainment? I can put my popcorn in my mouth and be like, ooh, he just chewed her out and all this. That's how I look at it, because it's really sad to see a therapist like myself. I can't get the numbers Kevin Samuels gets, and I don't know, like, it's just sad for us. And I'm giving real stuff, and I just don't think that it's helpful. That's the biggest, my biggest issue with it.
Okay. One of the things that you and Dr. Boyce educated me on was the ACEs test.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share that with our audience and how it can have an impact on Black men and Black women loving each other?
Yeah. So the ACEs is the Adverse Childhood Experiences Survey. And it's a survey that looked at it took this database of pre-existing records, and they were asking people all of these questions about what happened to you from 0 to 18. And so it categorized things in 10 categories, right? So anyone can take the ACEs scale, and if you scored like a 4 or more, and these are adverse childhood experiences. So did anyone yell at you? Did you see your mom get abused growing up? Did anyone chastise you? Did anyone sexually assault you? Did anyone hit you? It talks about all of these adverse childhood experiences. And if you even scored a 2 on that scale, it compared to those who had 0 adverse childhood experiences, you were 4 times likely to think about ending your life. So how you score is directly related to later on issues psychologically and health issues as well. So the ACEs score is a really interesting, it's been and it's been replicated. I don't know how many times it's been replicated. But the thing that's particular for Black people is that when I think about intergenerational trauma, and it's just like, well, this is the way my grandparents operated. That's how they raised their children. That's how my parents raised us. This is how I'm going to raise this. It's just, you start to think that these things are normal. I'm going to take my bell down. I'm going to spank you with my bell, and I'm going to do all these things to you. And you start to think this is normal, but it isn't. It's really toxic things that are happening in our households that has a lasting effect long term.
Okay. Good stuff, and also can have adverse effects in relationships too.
Absolutely. I mean, you talked about the nervous system. I mean, think about it. We need safety and security in terms of finances and all of this, but growing up, we need safety and security. We're a child. We need help figuring out what's going on. We have needs that need to be met. And when you've seen a little toddler, when they start to like lose it or whatever, you need to have a parent that's able to say, okay, Johnny, here, come on. You need to hug the person and calm them down. You have to regulate for them.
Right.
So that when they grow up, they can regulate for themselves. And I think this is why crime rates are so high, and, violence and all of this stuff that gets kind of promoted in our community. Okay. You're not able to calm yourself down on your own. And guess what? There's systems in place for you when you can't do that.
Wow. So just to do a reset here, we are blessed and highly favored to have Dr. Alicia, as she likes to call her, Dr. Alicia, sharing on the Dr. Vibe Show. We're talking about how can Black men and Black women love each other. Just want to say also, people, if you are not already, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and press like on Facebook. And as Dr. Boyce would say, make sure you push the notification button too. Don't just subscribe, also do the notification. So some more comments coming in here. And Wayne, Wayne has become a big fan. He said, my ACEs score is a 4. Yikes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with, you can have an ACEs score of a 10, an 8, a 2, a 1. There's nothing wrong with you. It's nice to be aware of what they are, but realize that don't think like, what's wrong with me? You start thinking like something wrong happened to me that shouldn't have happened. So don't think, because think about it, how you react and the things that you do and things that you carry with you. Your body is built to do this, to adjust. I mean, think about it. Our amygdala, the fight or flight or whatever, that's the reason why we're alive today. Our genes carried on because we were vigilant, but the problem is that in relationships, the threat is just perceived. And a lot of times there isn't any real threat. It's just someone said something to you and it triggered you in a way. And that triggering response makes you lash out. And know that lashing out, although it's not correct, you're not supposed to do it because, of course, there's systems in place for you. However, that's a natural way for you to respond. So it's not your bad. What happened to you should never have happened to you. That was terrible.
All right. Thank you for asking the questions in real time. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Wayne also asked, I guess, building on what you had to say about the late Kevin Samuels, would you say the same for Andrew Tate?
Yes, I would. Andrew Tate has probably a bigger impact than Kevin Samuels, because even my little 12-year-old, she goes to school, and I will tell you, it's a racially mixed school, but probably more Caucasians or whatever. So they had a day in school where they said, come to school. It was a couple of weeks ago. Come to school dressed as your favorite person, somebody you want to be when you grow up. That was so she's into dance, and so she dressed up like a dance teacher or whatever, that was her thing, right? And she came home and she said, Mom, she said, all the guys, all the boys in her school, all dressed up as Andrew Tate.
Wow.
12-year-olds.
How old?
12. She's in the 7th grade.
Oh my goodness.
She said the whole school, and it's only 2 grades, 7th and 8th graders in one building.
Yeah.
She said everybody, all the boys dressed up as Andrew Tate.
What does that tell you?
What does that tell us? He's even more frightening than a Kevin Samuels.
Okay, no problem. We talked about money. Mm-hmm. Through your personal and professional journey, what are some of the other potential challenges that come up between Black couples?
Yeah, so other than the stereotypes that we put on each other, I think, there's a huge challenge. I think that, trust and respect have been 2 things that I've noticed that I've had to really talk about. It's understanding, because if you weren't able, think about the father is not in the home, or you have some issues with another parent. If you aren't able to have this sort of trust, growing up, it's going to be very difficult to trust, when you're an adult. And so sometimes I find trust issues and trust violations, and not even just in infidelity, but financial infidelity. A lot of that is happening with a lot of my couples. And I think what's fascinating is that financial infidelity has been way more devastating than sexual infidelity, believe it or not, because what I'm finding,
that's interesting. Yeah.
It's like I can forgive you for what you've done to me, but what you've done to jeopardize our household, I can't forgive that. So it's like, not only am I being affected, but little Johnny and Mary and all these other people are affected. The whole household is now affected because you spent the money on this, and I couldn't trust you to handle the money. It's just like, that's the straw. So I'm finding that financial infidelity has really been, a real problem issue. And so that affects how you trust, how you look at people in that trust. So I would think that's it. And a lot of it has to do with respect. It's like, can I trust that when I'm not around, you're going to be respectful of this relationship? When we agree to the terms of our relationship, can I really know that you will respect me no matter what? I'm coming first for you. And so it's that level of trust that I think has been a real issue.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. How has, from your lens, the pandemic impacted Black love?
It's a double-edged sword, believe it or not. I have seen good relationships get better with the pandemic. I've also seen bad relationships get worse. And it's beautiful in a way, because if you're on the fence, sheltering in place with somebody, it will push you over from one side to the next. And I know with my private practice, I'm not with my private practice anymore, but my private practice, for the very first time during the pandemic, we had a waiting list of people with anxiety and depression and just nervousness and scared. And it really took a toll on us, especially the youth. Like my kids to this day, I have tutoring for them and all of that, and they're immediately like, "Is it online?" Because if it's on Zoom, I can't do it. Like they really have and that's not unusual. A lot of actually, there's teenagers that I see even now. They have to meet with me in person. They're like, "Don't send me a Zoom link. I'm not going to meet with you on Zoom." I mean, the pandemic has done that for them, where they just like, "I'm
Wow.
done." Like, and these are young people. They're like, "No, I can't do a Zoom. Will meet with you in person, or we don't meet at all." And so I can see the scared. They were frightened by this whole thing, and they're associating this with the pandemic. But I think for couples, it really was a deciding factor for a lot of these families. It's just like, we were having issues and we were avoiding it by going to work, by staying busy, and we're not busy anymore, and we have to stare each other in the face, and we got to come to Jesus moment. So
Okay.
it sped it up, because these issues needed to be dealt with eventually, but it really was kind of like, we either deal with it now or never. And so that's when my own practice really exploded during the pandemic.
Okay. One of the things I'm appreciating is there's a number of Black men who I respect are watching this live and giving questions.
Oh, that's okay.
So more coming. So Macmillan Group, excuse me, Ray and his wonderful son Stefan, who sponsor my Monday shows, The Morning Vibe, myself and Ryan. Good evening, great conversation. What impact does the love of education income? I think you just discussed income, but what impact does education have on the strength of Black relations, namely marriage and its occurrence and longevity?
Yeah, it is true. The more education you have, the more likely for Black people that the marriage will last. I mean, it does. And I think for a lot of Black people, even people who aren't as educated, the beauty of this whole thing is that Black people want to be married. They have barriers and there's difficulty finding each other, but Black
Okay,
people.
excuse me, Dr. Aisha. You're saying some people push back saying, no, that ain't true. Where are they
I
getting
know.
where are you getting that from, where maybe the media or other forces are saying no, they like to just run amok?
Nah, Black people want to be married. And Black people also see marriage as a middle class status. It's like, even among low income individuals who are working and grinding and trying, that idea of being married and having that nuclear family together, that's their view of, I've made it. I've made it. And a lot of times when you ask them, this is data, so I could send you a list, but when you ask them, they say, "You know what? I'm so happy to be married. I'm happy to have this partner here with me. What I need is healthy examples of what a marriage should look like." So not only do they want to be married, but they're just like, we're working together, but I really want to have more examples, because when you sign up to be married to someone, you don't sign up for toxicity. You don't sign up for verbal abuse and psychological abuse and disrespect, and to disregard somebody and to tell them how they feel and what they think aren't important. You don't sign up for that sort of thing. So I do help a lot of couples kind of say, hold on, let's slow this down. I want to hear what you're saying, husband. I want to hear what you're saying. And let's all kind of slow this conversation down, because guess what? Underneath a lot of these arguments is, do you really love me?
There you go.
When you scrape the butter off the toast, it's like, do you really love me? Are you really going to be there for me? Can I really put my trust in you? It's fear that's stopping a lot of people, especially Black men. They think that they're not even worthy of being married if their money isn't a certain way. That's fear.
building on that, Wayne Harris has another question. He's become your big fan here
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, Wayne.
Because what if the woman has more education than the man? Is she not not a stress on his self-esteem? Don't women initiate divorces 70% of the time? Okay. Okay.
They do initiate divorce. Really, when you ask women, why is it, and Black women, just women in general, who initiates divorce, tell me why you're asking for this divorce, they'll come up with legitimate reasons. They'll say, he wasn't faithful to me and I tried to work it through and it was a continuous pattern and I gave him chance after chance. He disregarded me. He ignored me. He, didn't listen to me when I tried to talk to him. It's like trying to get through. And I think that these complaints from these women, not normally, a lot of these complaints have nothing to do with, well, he didn't bring in the money like he should. I don't usually hear a lot of that. When you ask people, you don't hear a lot of that. You hear real legitimate things. It's like, are you going to be there for me? Are you really going to love me? And it's like being frustrated, going over and over again about trying to get through to somebody, and they don't listen and they disregard you. And they say, you know what? You got a house over your head. You got clothes on your back, food in your stomach. What else do you want from me? This is what you hear from a lot of women.
Okay. Ray from the group says, yeah, I agree with Dr. Alicia on marriage being the goal. I noticed a much higher level of Black marriage in Jacksonville, Florida compared to Toronto, even though the incomes are lower in Jacksonville compared to Toronto.
Well, cost of living is high in Canada. Is it not?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. Well, it is definitely, especially in the Toronto area. Toronto's one of the most expensive cities, let alone in North America, probably in the world.
Oh, okay. I just know like the Canadian price and the US price is like
yes. Big difference. Surprise, Wayne has another question. He says, what's the impact of modeling and who are the models for the Black relationship? Comparison, I think is he spelled it wrong there, but comparison seems to be coming into vogue.
Yeah, I think so. This is an issue. It's almost like, yeah, and it would be better if we had healthy images that's not necessarily online and not these celebrities. Like let me tell you, I've met my share of celebrities, by the way, and they're people like anybody else. They have feelings like anybody else. I'm not certain that we should be looking up to celebrities, and it's a shame that we don't have them in our immediate life. It'd be nice if we had more like real marriages to talk about. I mean, like Boyce and I, we have conflict a lot, but what's really interesting between us is that, usually we'll just let it die. And then we'll usually circle back and come back to each other. So it took work to get to that point, because we grew up differently. I grew up totally differently from how Boyce grew up. So our backgrounds are different. I'm the second generation therapist. My mom was a therapist. My dad was a social worker. And so I feel like my background and my experience is really different from a lot of what I hear a lot of Black people talk about. And I'm not saying that Black people, have all this kind of complicated background, but I, just when I listen to how a lot of Black people were raised and how they grew up, it doesn't necessarily reflect what I experienced. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody. Of course, I'm not saying that, but I just feel like my child and my youth was a little abnormal. You just having two parents who are therapists and they had a degree in child behavior. They knew about child development. So I really do think that my parents and how they raised me was just unique. Just unique among anybody. So
good stuff.
So we're different, but just because you have different backgrounds doesn't mean that you can't have a healthy relationship. It just means you need to take out a little more time talking to each other about, okay, what did you see that was normal for you? Tell me, how did you come to this? Who taught you this? And then having this negotiation. So, you can talk about your background and the things that you grew up with. I can talk about my background and what I grew up with. And then we can sit down and have a conversation. Okay, how do we want our family to look? We can cherry pick. We can pick, this didn't work. I don't like this. This doesn't work for us. I'm going to let that go. But that's okay. It doesn't mean we disrespect our parents. It just means we're not going to continue that in our family, in our household. So a lot of it is talking and negotiation and compromise. How about that?
Yeah, like absolutely.
Compromise.
I more job says, who is Andrew Tate?
Man, I think he got banned from social media, but you can always find him. He shows up.
Yeah, Googleicious. Google him. Googleicious. I have a question here in regards to, look at our parents, many of them who stayed married for long periods of time. Probably your parents as an example. And, what did they have to keep the longevity compared to what many of our people in this current won't, what's the diff?
Yeah, well, I mean, modern relationships. We do need to.
There we go. Yes.
Modern, because right now, relationships, marriages, we're putting a lot on marriages. I really do. I have to stop myself, because I really do expect my husband to be everything to me. I want him to be my best friend. I want him to be my confidant. I want him to be my exercise partner. I want him to play cards with me. I want to be my partner when we play cards. I want to sit down and watch every TV show together. It's like modern relationships, we're putting so much, because think about it. I mean, when my mom was a stay-home mom. So when my parents were married to each other, she stayed home. She took care of us. She did get her education and all of that, but it was a very traditional setup. But fast forward today, that's not what message is. Like, my dad encouraged me to do my own thing. He's like, yeah, just continue your education, do all these things. So I'm not really needing, someone to take care of me financially in that way. My needs are going to be more interpersonal and emotional, and these modern relationships, which, by the way, can be very fulfilling. These modern relationships, it's going to take some discussion and some work, but on the end of it can be extremely beneficial and extremely fulfilling. But there need to be a lot more conversations happening. Expectations need to be explicitly talked about, not something implied. Taking on these traditional roles. Black women, we're exhausted. Like, we're working hard all day. We're taking care of these kids. We're cooking and doing these things. We need Black men to be more involved. And they are, by the way. Black men, compared to other groups,
yes,
are very much involved in their children's life.
Yes.
Even if they're not married, even if they're not in the same household, Black men are one of the first to kind of say, I'm not going to be this stereotype. I'm going to be there for my children. I'm going to be there at school, and I'm going to participate. I'm going to volunteer for basketball. I'm going to be an assistant coach in basketball. My son is important. This is important to him. So what we're seeing is that a lot of Black men, it's egalitarian. And so they are stepping up to the plate and doing a wonderful job. And I do think that sort of patriarchy and all of that sort of toxic masculinity, that's whiteness. We don't.
Okay. I love it when you get into it, Dr. Alicia, and I see you're looking very serious about this.
That's whiteness. That toxic masculinity, and that's not who we are. That's not who we are traditionally, historically.
Okay. Ray has a question I think you've answered. He's saying, how much has the new reality working life impacted the demise of marriage among us? So do you want to add anything onto what you've just said in the last few moments?
Mother and wife, and how much has the new reality of working wife impacted the demise of marriage among us? Yeah, it's really going to take collaboration. It's really going to take two people saying, and the sad part about it is that we default into this traditional role. If you don't have these conversations, you don't talk about it, we default into these traditional roles. And what happens is that women are taking on way too much. Like, we take on the emotional burden of the household. You know, it's like if any, and not even extended family, because you know that's another thing that's unique among our families is that extended family is treated like you cousin. You know,
Yeah.
you one of me,
Yeah.
you my baby. So we take on the emotional toll. What happened to you? Ooh, something racist happened to you. Come tell me about it. Like we're shouldering a lot of the emotional burden in the family, which takes it's it takes a lot to do that. It
Yeah.
takes a lot out of us. Yeah.
Yeah. It can be very draining. Number one fan, Wayne Harris says, did white feminism hijack the Black woman? Did we
Mhm.
benefit from it?
Yeah, nothing bothers me more than these white feminists. And the thing is that it started with us. The whole feminist movement, it's really feminist was hijacked by white women who took it and then used it as a weapon against us. Like it's ridiculous. Like we were the very first original feminists back in slavery times, when we were really intricate in the Underground Railroad. We need to
Mhm.
not get into all of that. We were very intricate in that part. That was feminism.
Mhm.
I guess we don't even want to even use that word. A lot of times we use womanist. We want to use the womanist or some alternative sort of method. But yeah, it was almost like feminism, especially with the first wave of feminism and abolitionists and all of that. It just was like, white women were like, what, you mean a Black man is going to have more than me? Oh no, I got to be on this bandwagon too. And a lot of those feminists, those all of those waves of the feminist movement, they were extremely racist. I just don't, I can't just talk about that all day. But yeah,
Don't worry. That's why I said before we went live that we got to have you back because
yeah, I can talk about that. I haven't seen that material in a while, but I used to do a whole talk on that, about Black History Month and Women's History Month kind of falls by side. Black History Month is February. Women
Mhm.
History Month is March. And so I would
Mhm.
do presentations every year about, just merging those two and what happened. I mean, some of these Elizabeth Stanton and all of these people, like, have you heard what they said about Black people? Like, come
Mm.
on, wouldn't even allow people, Black women, to talk, used us for the right to vote, and then voted against us. Like, how would we have Jim Crow in the United States if white women wasn't voting against us? I mean, it's a sour taste in my mouth. And I gotta tell you, fast forward as a social worker working at an all-white institution, and just my history of, I mean, you just rattled off the university. I went to Indiana University, University of Chicago, Florida State. I mean, I was trained by the best, and then there were so many times that it was uncomfortable for me as a Black woman.
Mm.
I
Sorry to
sat
hear
at
about that.
tables. I
Sorry
sat
to
at
hear about that.
tables where I'm just like, this white woman is really bringing it on me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Well,
that's my story. You can't take that away from me. My lived
absolutely.
experience.
We're coming up to the top of the hour, and I don't want to keep you past your time. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I know. We just got
yeah. Uh,
started.
okay, so I'm gonna have two more quick. I'm gonna give you
Okay.
two questions, quick, and then we'll wind it down. And well, they're still coming in. Oh my gosh, they're still coming in. Oh, okay. Let's see if we can get three questions on real quick.
Okay.
Again, Wayne, of course. The strong, independent Black woman, fact or fiction, good or bad?
Nah, I think it's fiction. Honestly, it's fiction. It's Black women doing what they need to do, getting things done. It's not independent. Really, we need to be interdependent. Like we need, like if you talk to Black women, it's like we need you. We need you all as Black men to come through for us. And when you don't, we're forced in this position to make sure things get done. Johnny still needs Christmas. You
Okay.
were supposed to come through for me and you didn't come through for me. Now I gotta go out and figure out other creative ways because the woman knows how to be creative. That's the feminine side of us, creativity, right? So we got to figure out how to do it. But I think when you talk to Black women who come across as independent, underneath that, you find violations.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that, you find betrayal. Underneath
Mm-hmm.
that, you find lack of trust. And it's just like, no, my baby gonna have his Christmas. So if I got to do it by myself, I would love. So a lot of Black women are just begging for Black men. Come through. Come through. We here for you. You ain't never been loved like you've been loved by a Black woman.
I love it. Next quick conversation be, does today's society promote marriages or marriages that become profitable until the due date, aka divorces?
Yeah, I mean, the data are on all points. Men need to be running to get married. If you look at the data, men, Dr. Vibe, are you married?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Yay, you're married. Great.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, marriage benefits men so much, and particularly Black men. It is a myth coming out. Marriage is so good for men, so skewed in the direction of men on every single indicator of well-being, which is, I mean, every single indicator of well-being. Married men make more money. Married men have better sex than even cohabitating men, more satisfying. Married men are happier, healthier,
they live longer.
live longer. They
Yeah.
just, every single indicator of a nice life is when men are married. Now, it's not the same for women.
Yes, I heard that on one of your broadcasts. Yeah, that's a part 2 thing.
That's
all right.
Two.
All right. Last conversation piece. In your research and studies, when we look at the top 5% of income earners, can you say if more non-Black women are stay-at-home wives, mothers, compared to Black women?
Stay at home. That's interesting. I will verify that and look at that. Top 5 income earners. Interesting. I think I'm thinking about my neighborhood. There are a lot of stay-at-home moms in my neighborhood. Now I live in a squeaky white suburb, and there are a lot of stay-at-home moms, but they don't always, they don't always end up that way. They end up having to work outside the home in a lot of ways. But that is a really interesting question. I really like that question. I have to think about that. Who's staying home and who's not. I don't know. It's marriage rates have decreased in general. Like divorce rates have decreased over time, but that's because marriage rates have decreased over time. So there are more women who are opting for just not getting married, and just like living their best life being single, and white women too. Some of them are saying, I'm just going to forego this whole thing and just, be my own earner, because single Black women and single white women just make more money. They do make more money. But I can come back and later and talk about.
Yeah, you better. No, well, before we leave, I'm just going to put up some of the offerings that Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia has. So just bear with me, family, because Dr. Alicia has a whole pile of stuff. So does Dr. Boyce. So, Dr. Boyce, if you go to Dr. Boyce Watkins page.
Okay, what does he got? He's got a lot of
goodies
in there.
Yeah, the 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Dr. Christina Park's masterclass that's coming up, Protecting Your Health from a Toxic World. Free training from Dr. Boyce, how to start an investment club, how to generate income on selling stock options, how to build $1 million family with 5 minutes a month. The free Dr. Boyce book, $5 investment plan. There it is, Financial Therapy with Dr. Alicia Watkins.
Wow, okay, he's good. He put that up there. I didn't even know that he put that. Yeah,
he's got a pile of stuff, family. So if you go to drvoicewatkins.com, you're going to see, but we want to highlight, of course, the Financial Therapy with Dr. Alicia Watkins. Let's go to that page.
What do we see?
And there we go. The Money Mindset Masterclass with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. There it is, some of the stuff. So
the Money Mindset Masterclass, I think it's pretty cool. It's a 4-week class where we talk about love and money and For the Love of Money. And we are on a break for the holiday, but we've already had session 1 and session 2. So you can always sign up and get recordings from that. And then starting in the new year, I think January 8th on Sunday, we're going to do session 3 and session 4. And so it's going to be really great. We're working together. I love working with boys.
I know you do.
I really enjoy it. And he's a juggernaut. We talked about that.
Yes.
He's a juggernaut. So it's great. It's great working with a juggernaut.
Absolutely. So
It's
I'm
never
not
boring.
no, sir. No, sir. So let me see if all the different things we're going to put them up that Dr. Alicia has going on. She has the couples bundle.
Yes.
So it's a 4-course Black love course training and
Yeah.
bundle.
Drama-free conversations. So how to communicate.
I love that title though. I love how you put that drama-free. Like that's I said wonderful.
We gotta get the drama-free out. So drama-free conversations, how to have good communication, because communication is really number one issue that I come across that couples present with. It's the drama-free marriage. Like, how are we going to operate our marriage? How are we going to run our marriage? It gives you everything you need to discuss to operate your marriage, whether you've been married, whether you're thinking about being married, or whether you've already said, let's get married. So it's that. And then another thing is drama-free family. So these are for well-established families. It could be blended families. And, a lot of us, we have alternative definitions of family. That's another unique thing about Black people. We have alternative definitions. So that course I taught with Dr. Boyce, we taught that together, talking about our family. And then there's also the Black Love Weekend is also included in that bundle, I believe.
Well, there's things like drama-free communication.
Yes.
We've got that. I'm going to put all of them up. Like, I can't put them like back to back. So I've got to click and come back. So
thank you, Dr. Vi.
No.
While you're getting that up there, I just want to wish you well on being like voted like the top podcast. You're nominated for an award.
Yeah. So, we also have Secrets of the Drama-Free Family.
Yes. Secrets of the Drama-Free Family.
So we have that up there. Gotta treat Dr. Alicia right. She's bringing the fire. She's bringing fire. And plus she said she's going to come back. Yeah. So that's always a good thing. So those are some of the things. And again, if you go to her, best place to really get in touch with her there's her Instagram.
Look at my Instagram. Oh gosh.
Right. So there she is on the Instagram
account. I got a ton of spam accounts.
Yeah, I noticed that. Not nice.
It's terrible.
Not nice. And again, if we go back, if you want to catch, again, if that we showed it, but her Instagram is at Coaching with Dr. Alicia.
Yes.
One last conversation piece I have to ask you.
Yes.
Is it best to have a friendship before a relationship?
It all depends. I think it depends. I think that when you're starting something that could be something, go at a snail's pace.
Right on.
Fools rush in. And that's not to say, I have seen people who like just meet in a couple of months, they get married, and then next thing you know, they've been married for 50 years. Like I have seen that.
Yeah.
It's possible, but not very probable. So I say go at a snail's pace, pay attention, listen, observe before you dive in, before you take that leap, and then know that when you commit yourself to that one person, there's always potentially an X factor. There's always something that's unknown. And so you do need to take a leap of faith, but at the same time, you don't want to rush in. So I think it just depends. I say go slow.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Alicia, thank you for answering my request.
Yeah.
And hope I'll be in contact with you offline. Okay. Love to have you come back periodically because the Black men are asking the questions.
Yes. I love this. And thanks for having me. Thanks for reaching out.
The pleasure is mine and everyone here. I want to wish you, Dr. Boyce, family, and all the hundreds of thousands of people that you have are and will be helping. A great holiday season.
Yes.
And I heard you're going away, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we're gonna party it up. I'm gonna party hard. We work hard, but we're gonna party hard.
Okay. And as I always leave with these two things these days, remember to give yourself grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy.
Beautiful. I love that. Give yourself grace. That's beautiful. And other people too.
Yes, but it got to start with you
You
first.
do
Because
have
if you're not giving it to yourself, it's gonna be hard to give it out to other people.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for having me. Goodbye, everybody. I'll see you again.
Take care. And that was an epic conversation with Dr. Alicia. And I mean, wow, it was worth the wait. It was certainly worth the wait. So everybody, there's her contact information. At least follow her on Instagram. At least do that. And if more, look into the programs that her and Dr. Boyce are offering. They are good stuff. So want to just close up here with a few quick things. Again, if you're watching this before 12 midnight in your time zone on December 31st, vote for the Dr. Vibe Show in the Best Black Canadian Podcaster category at this year's BuyBlacks.com People's Choice Awards. Go to buyblacks.com/PCA/vote to vote. You can vote every 24 hours. Also, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, and also push the notification button to know what's going on, and on Facebook. If you want to follow me, you can check me out. Website, the drvibeshow.com. Email dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Twitter, @the Dr. Vibe, @Dr. Vibe Show, drvibeshow. And finally, the Instagram, The Dr. Vibe Show. And we also say, if you want to promote your business and service on our show, contact me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. So I'm just going to close it out with this. Absolutely. And Wayne Harris says, happy holidays to all. And More Job says, great show, Dr. Vibe and Alicia. Fantastic. So this is how we close it out. If you know a little bit about me, this is what I do. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace. And just one last thing, you can catch replays. Wrong show, The Morning Vibe. I'm so anxious I put the wrong thing. You can catch replays of the Dr. Vibe Show wherever you're watching this right now. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. Walk good. And love you all. Thank you for all your support. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. God bless. We'll see you soon. Take care.